The harsh realities that no one likes to hear, and the journeys that no one likes to see. Bringing you these journeys with the Insane Minds podcast. Here's your host, Sarvesh Maria.
Hello there, welcome back. And as I mentioned last week, the episode was divided into two parts, and the wait is over. The second part is right here. So just get comfortable to listen to Pete Benson. You know, recently I had an interview with a insurance company executive, and I don't want to mention the names, but the executive told me that they actually don't invest in stocks, but they do invest in insurances because he mentioned that they deal with high net worth clients, and that net worth or just the worth of the money they deal with is just in billions. And he mentioned that that kind of money is difficult to invest in stocks, and they kind of work towards saving the money for their clients by investing in insurance. When During all this, when he was mentioning that, I kind of didn't understood what he's trying to explain it to me, but could you please go ahead and explain it to me?
Yeah, so I don't disagree with what they're saying because that's the difference between that, though, and what we do is we invest money and we do tax planning. So again, it's not just the performance on the investments. The reason we have those five pillars, we have a whole tax division arm of people that are, their whole mission is how can I make this client's situation more tax friendly, more tax efficient? How can I save them in taxes? It's no good if they're making all kinds of money on their investments, but they're getting crushed in taxes. So there are some companies that just do one or the other. And then there's other companies like ours that, we invest people's money, but we also have some people that are really astute at good tax planning strategies, sometimes utilizing life insurance and other insurance products that can be good for that, Roth conversions, other types of things that you can do with people. So it's not just how much money do I make, but how much do I get to keep? And so we want them to make the money, but we also know that taxes can really, in retirement, be somebody's biggest expense. When you're, when you think, especially if you're investing in retirement funds like a 401k, a 403b, tax deferred, when you retire and start using that money, it's fully taxable. So how can we create a situation where um, we reduce that tax burden for them when it's time for them to draw out that money? So that's a lot of times something we're doing with people between the ages of 60 and 70 can sometimes be the sweet spot for converting some of that money they owe all that tax on to more tax free and tax efficient.
Oh wow, now it makes much more sense to me now. So thank you so much. But like you are a partner in the company and being an entrepreneur for so many years. Do you believe in goal setting?
Oh yeah. So that's major. You've got to have a target. So every fall, and ours is going to be Thursday and Friday this week. We have four main leaders in our firm. John and I, my son Dan, who has been with us for 14 years. He graduated from Southern Wesleyan, and he's a CFP and very good at this business. And then we have a COO, a Chief Operating Officer. The four of us go away for 2 days, and it's all organized, and we're basically setting goals for and doing planning for next year. So you set the goals, but then it's like, okay, how are we going to achieve those goals? What are all the things that need to be done? So we'll spend like 8 hours a day for 2 days straight, just hammering things out, putting big, sticky sheets of paper on the wall, and it looks like a war room when we're done. So we do that every fall, either the end of the third quarter or beginning of the fourth, and we're setting all these goals. What are some things we need to add? How can we get better? What do we need for more staff? Do we need a different office location? We look at everything from A to Z, analyze it, then goal set, and then we're also breaking that down. So if we say, okay, next year our goal is that we acquire $150 million of new investment money. How are we going to get that? So what's our marketing strategy going to be? And what does each individual advisor need to set for goals for that to be achievable? So we work on all that. And then every week we actually meet all year long, every single week on Friday, and also have a planning between those four people. And then throughout the year, every quarter, we have shorter day trips, or maybe 4 to 6 hours that we go, not 2 days like this. There's the major planning, goal setting, strategizing for the whole year of next year. And then every week we meet to discuss how are we doing on all those goals that we set. What do we need to do better? And then throughout the year, every quarter we meet for maybe like a half a day or 4 to 6 hours. It's kind of a bigger planning session. So planning is big. We spend 20% of our time planning, 80% of our time trying to execute that plan. And then we make sure that every single advisor has different goals. And we meet weekly to see, are they on track for those? What do we need to do? What can we help them with? What are they struggling with? How can we get them better training? How can we develop them? So yeah, huge.
Perfect. But you know what? You are involved in something where there is no limit to what you can achieve. Technically, sky is the limit. So, in certain cases where sky is the limit, what will you say like success looks like to you?
Mm. Ooh, that's a loaded question. I mean, one is this is going to sound, hopefully everybody will get it when I say it. To me, success is lasting. Okay, so anybody can be a flash in the pan. To me, success is somebody who does something well for a longer period of time. Believe it or not, in our business, for just even a small business, 90% of them fail. So the fact that Beacon has gone for over 20 years now, that's a success. We've lasted. Not to say we will forever, but we're lasting. Another thing is, keeping your character and integrity intact. We want to help people. We want to help lots of people, but not at the expense of our compromising our values, our integrity, and character. So to me, success is not only doing something for a longer period of time, but doing it with integrity, because there's a lot of pitfalls and there's a lot of temptations in business. And if you especially have some measure of success, it's easy to get caught up, and especially in the financial world, there's nothing wrong with if you've earned some money the right way, honestly, and just through hard work and good business practices and everything. There's nothing wrong with, the Bible is not against, God is not against people having money, but it's not the measure of success. I'm no better than somebody who has less than me, and I'm not less than somebody who has more than me. So unfortunately in society, it's how big are the toys, how big is the house, how nice is the car, and all that kind of stuff. And I enjoy way more than what I deserve. But to me, success is how many people are we helping? And are we doing it with the right motive and with our integrity kept intact? That's what I would say looking back on my life. If I can do that, I'm good.
All right. That was so beautiful that people actually need to hear that. But you have been in this industry for so long. I'm curious, what do you think is more important, a CFP or a CFA?
Yeah, so they're two totally different things. A CFA, Chief Financial Analyst, boy, I'll tell you, that's probably the hardest test and the most daunting of all in the financial business. Um, but it wouldn't be something I would even be interested in. That's you gotta you've got to be the kind of person that really likes to sit in a room and get into all the detail and market research. It typically is not a person that deals with the public and helps people directly. It's the person, which is very important, but the person behind the scenes that's really analyzing and breaking down various investments and strategies and everything that need to be done. It certainly is not my strengths, and I think I would go nuts because it's more of a person behind a computer that loves the financial business, loves numbers, loves analysis, but really isn't face to face helping individual families. So a CFP is really somebody you want to take that to be more totally well rounded and prepared to meet knee to knee, face to face with client families and design real financial planning strategies for them. So you're implementing strategies, working with flesh and blood people, and that's what turns you on. That's what gets you excited. That's what you like. And there's a place for both. We absolutely need both. You kind of have to decide, what am I wired like? Am I a people person and I just get off on sitting in a room, in a conference room, at a table, hearing people's problems, their financial worries, concerns, and figuring out how we can overcome those and put a good plan together so that they won't feel that way and they'll feel confident, and we'll give them a roadmap and hold on to their hand and walk into the future together. And there's a lot of people involvement in that type of thing. And the analyst is the person, typically working in a company that just does the prep work, if you will, for that person that's going to sit down with them, the CFP. So it's not a matter of one's better than the other. I don't think a CFA is needed for a typical just person that wants to be a face-to-face financial advisor with client families that they're working with. We pay for and rely on a lot of our analysis from other sources that we think we can trust. But here at our firm, even though we have kind of a financial team to make the overall decisions, if a portfolio is needed to be tweaked or whatever, which we have 2 or 3 times this year on some of our portfolios, either making them more conservative or more income focused or whatever like that. So we don't really have analysts within our office. You got to be a bigger firm than ours to really justify having somebody. You mostly just third party that out to other people and share resources.
Gotcha. But you know what? Thank you so much for helping Southern Wesleyan, for everything you do. But I'm curious, how does it feel to have the business school dedicated to your name?
Well, it feels surreal. Certainly, there's things in life that come your way that in your wildest dreams you couldn't have imagined. It's very humbling. It's a big honor. for them to consider that. It's also a big responsibility. It's kind of like, to whom much is given, much is required. So, I'm not being falsely humble when I say I don't feel worthy for that, but I'm thankful for the opportunity. I feel like we have something to contribute. I'm glad that they feel like they could use my name and our company as kind of an example for the business school. I'm very committed to Christian business people. I think we can make some of the most difference in the whole world in Christian circles by one of the things I'm really, if I can use the word, proud of at Beacon is that we've married those worlds of business and professionalism with being a Christian company. And we don't wave it in front of people or use it as a sales tool or beat people over the head with it. But with our staff, we pray with them. We have speakers come in to talk, give devotionals, and talk on different things. We're not afraid to kind of make sure that people understand that, this isn't, we're not forcing our values on you, but this is who we are. And we have this wall in our office that's our values wall. And you can look on our website and see those values. But the first one is Christ-centered, and everything else revolves around that. So, I think there's more businesses that could follow that strategy or, kind of example that you can coexist. You can be a for-profit business, do things the right way, and not be ashamed to say, we're a Christ-centered business. We're not perfect, but we're a Christ-centered business, and this is who we are, and we're not ashamed of it.
For sure. But please go ahead and share with us one of your most memorable experiences in this industry.
Yeah, so there's a lot, but almost 10 years ago, a couple came into my office that I was going to be meeting with, and they weren't clients yet. They were just a prospect. And I'd never met them before, and they walked in, and he had a hospital mask on, which before COVID, that was unusual. It wasn't a normal thing. And so I reached out to shake his hand, and he said, I can't shake your hand, but I can touch elbows. So he kind of touched my elbow with his elbow. He sat down and basically just jumped right into it and said, I'm here today. This is my wife, Barbara, and I'm dying. And I'm a Christian man, and I believe in miracles, but if I don't get a miracle, then within a year, I'm going to be gone. And he was dying of cancer. And so he said, I've been stalking your company, and I've researched you guys and talked to people who've done business with you and looked on your website, come to some of your events. And he said, I'm going to die, and our finances aren't exactly where they need to be. And we've got extra planning that needs to be done that I want to get done for Barbara before I die. And I need your help. And so obviously that kind of hit me square right in the nose. I was like, wow, this is a humbling, awesome responsibility that this man is entrusting me with this situation for his wife. And so anyway, we met a bunch of times throughout the next year. His health began to deteriorate, and there was quite a few things that we needed to kind of get in order, and got them in order. And then 11 months later, I'm sitting in my office, the phone rings, it's for me, and Barbara, his wife, is on the other line. she said, "Hey, this is Barbara. Jim wants to tell you something." So she hands him the phone. He's at the hospital. He said, "Pete," he said, "this is it." He said, "I'm going to die probably within 24 hours." He said, "I just wanted to hear your voice one more time and assure me." He says, "I feel good about what you've done, but I want you to know that financially, Barbara's going to be in your hands. I need to know that you're going to take good care of her." And of course, I'm trying to keep from crying. And I'm like, "Jim, you can count on it." And so anyway, he died. Funeral was over, and then I started meeting with Barbara more over the next few years. It was more like counseling sessions. She was crying and trying to get over everything, and we put a lot of good planning together. And so it was really cool because about 2 weeks ago we met, and she said to me, she says, "Things have gone really well, haven't they?" I said, "Yeah, they really have." We were talking about our finances. She said, "You think Jim would be proud of me?" And I says, "I think he'd be very proud of you. You've done a great job. You've learned a lot," because it wasn't her thing at all. And she had to learn all the everything, handle everything herself. And so anyway, she's just become a favorite client to our whole office, and constantly sings the praises of Beacon and what we've done. And I feel good that 10 years later, I feel like I've taken that mandate that he gave me, and to the best of my imperfect ability, um, I think we've been able to do for him what he wanted. And when I think about that, I'm like, that's exactly why we exist. That's the perfect example of why Beacon is what we are today. He wanted to make sure it was a good Christian company. They were great people of faith. They're amazing. And I'm like, hey, for 10 years now, we've done exactly what I told him we were going to do. So that's my story.
What a story. But do you believe there's anything that finance industry in general or maybe you guys struggle with again and again?
The biggest thing is you've got to be willing to fail. We've done a lot of marketing things, and some of them didn't work out the way that we thought they would. But I actually take that as a positive and a negative. We've invested in and spent money on things that ended up being a bust. But if you're going to grow as a company, you've got to take risks, and I'm not disappointed that we took the risk. Just disappointed that some of them ended up throwing money away. But I think maybe sometimes we've hired people without. We didn't take enough time to really get to know them, because having a good culture and having the right fit of people is everything. And I think we've learned some things in the process of how we can better our hiring practices to make sure that somebody is the right fit. But thankfully, nothing has seriously bitten us. But having the wrong people on your team and having somebody who is disruptive and a wrong cultural fit can really, it's like one bad apple can spoil the whole bunch.
Definitely. And another great analogy over there. But what do you think about Elon Musk buying Twitter?
I try to stay out of those things as much as I can. It'll certainly be interesting to see. Some people immediately jumped off Twitter, but there'll be other people that probably stayed away that'll jump on now. I'll tell you one thing about Elon Musk is he's brilliant. I don't agree with everything. Our values probably aren't exactly the same and that kind of thing. But when I look at what he's done in different businesses, and I mean, he is a brilliant mind. And yeah, it remains to be seen how that'll go. I actually, I think he'll do a good job with it. But could definitely be people that, it's same as everything. It's very divisive for whatever reason. People look at it. Everything's political today, and he has a way of making things work, and so I have to cheer him on and hope that he does a good job with Twitter. Who knows? I think all these social media things have a shelf life. Are they going to be here 10 and 20 years from now? They keep Facebook was big and still is with a lot of people, but now it's fading and more things, kind of taking its place. I wouldn't want to own any of them because I think that they're going to be here for a while and then they're going to be fleeting and we're going to be on to something else. But more power to him. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, I have never heard someone saying the opposite to you for Elon Musk. But what you think about these platforms providing easy access to trade like Robinhood?
Yeah, I don't know. I know what it is. I know how to use it. It's not something I've really done. Um, I think it's good to have ways that people can invest money in small amounts and have a website for that kind of thing. Um, Especially beginning people in finances, good, inexpensive ways that they can do online trading, that kind of thing can be really, really helpful to them. A few years ago, they talked about, robo advisors were going to take over and people like us that actually meet people in an office face to face that we were going to go out of style. That may happen someday, but I don't know. When it comes to people's money, and especially older people, um, they like to sit down with somebody face to face in a real office and be able to look that guy in the eye that's going to be entrusted with $1 million or two or five or $300,000 of their net worth that they care about. So it's not really for older people who have amassed a lot of money and really need a good overall financial plan. But yeah, I definitely there's a place for it.
I agree with you. But is there any book that you really like?
Um, one of the best books I ever read was The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. He's a guy that we've learned a lot from over the years on business mastermind and business teaching. He was the editor of Success Magazine for years. Got to interview, Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, anybody that's built any kind of a company. Um, he's been able to be front and center with them to interview them and learned a lot along the way and got 30 years of experience in that. So anyway, he wrote a book a few years ago called The Compound Effect, and it talks about every decision, every thought, every move, everything, it has a compounding effect, positively or negatively, whether it's money, relationships, business, all that. It's been a while since I read it. I need to reread it, but I've gotten all the guys in my office, all the people that are advisors to read that. You can also get it on tape or Audible or that kind of thing. That's the kind of book I like to actually highlight and underline and go back to as a textbook kind of thing. But that certainly for the business world has been very impacting to me. And again, I've gone back to it over and over. I've always been an avid reader, so I always have books on the go. Um, now that I'm actually taking a less role in the business and trying to kind of sneak out the back door more and more each year, I don't read as many as I used to of that caliber. But most recently, a Christian book that I've read is The Relentless Elimination of Hurry. And it's written by John Mark Comer, Comer. It just talks about how fast the world has gotten and how technology and having an iPhone in your hand all day long attached to your hip from morning till night has changed our life, and how we're going at too fast a pace and we're missing out on a lot of the good things of life because, our face is in our phone. And so it was just a really good reminder that silence and solitude, Sabbath, slowing, simplicity, those are just exact opposites of where most people are going in their life and daily life today, and how those are the things that really matter the most, and that we're not present to enjoy things anymore because we're always looking ahead to the next thing. So that was a good slap upside the head for me. That has been a great book. I highly recommend as well.
I have to say that I'll probably put those on my reading list. But reading those books, was that the inspiration you got from them made you write your own book?
Reading lots of books was my own inspiration. Not necessarily those two books itself, but in the financial business, having the authority factor backed up by having a written book means a lot, and we put a lot of time into that. I did, and and so there's been one in particular that's the main book for our business, which is called Money Enough for Life with a question mark. And that's really the question that most of our clients ask when they come in is, do I have enough money for the rest of my life? And so we talked about all the pieces that people need to have a good plan together in order to feel like they have enough money for life. That was more for business, and then one that is more for kind of Christians in general in finances is the one I did with my son, from financial failure to fitness. And I like fitness. I love athletics, running, marathons, that kind of thing. I've always enjoyed sports. I like having that theme to it. And, just like you can be physically fit, you can be financially fit or out of shape. And a lot of people are. So I wrote that because I've been to a lot of churches and held financial seminars on stewardship and good biblical financial principles and that kind of thing. So the seminar that I would present to them, I kind of just built it out into a book, and that's what that book is. And it's kind of an encyclopedia, very easy to read, very short, brief, kind of straight to the point, practical. But these are all the building blocks that it takes to be financially fit. Not getting into the gory details and analyze. It's very high level, but it kind of gives people, again, a roadmap to become financially fit. So, yeah, it's nice to have those out there that you can give out to people. I could sell them, but mostly I give them. I give them away. Um, it wasn't to make money with them. It was just to put good financial principles into somebody's hand that they would actually read.
That's a good book, and I have personally read it for sure. But Pete, tell our listeners where they can contact you, or location wise where they can find you.
Yeah, well, location wise, we're in Franklin, Tennessee. And you can look up Pete Benson. Pete Ben one is my Twitter handle. My email is PeteBen1959 at gmail.com. That's PeteBen1959 at gmail.com. Yeah, just look up Pete Benson Franklin. I'm on most of the sites, and our business website is www.beaconcm.com. CM stands for Capital Management, beaconcm.com. And thank you so much for having me on. It's been fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show, and it was my honor to speak to you today. So thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. Please remember to like and subscribe to the Insane Minds podcast.